Hi guys, Mike here from RevoSlot. Just wanted to go through a setup for a Revo. With the Revo Championships coming up, we get a lot of questions of why guys' cars handle better than others. All in all, out of the box, Revo is a great car to put straight on the track. When you compare it to a lot of other cars out there, again, straight out of the box. But as with every brand, you can also do things to improve it. So I'm going to take this car. It's not a new car. It's my old car. The driver's disappeared somewhere. But I'm going to pull this apart and go through what I would do as a setup. So I'll take the body off. So I'll be going through what I've done to set this up. As I say, it's an old car, so it probably needs a bit of a service and a setup anyway. So I'm going to go through everything, pull all this apart, and see where we go to from here. So I'll pull it apart and I will come back to you. As you can see, I've pulled the car fully apart. I've disassembled the chassis and everything as well. Now I am going to pull this further apart yet. I'm going to pull the wheels and everything off this. Before I do that, I just want to show you something new. I have already adjusted this car once before, but like I say, it's not new. It's been knocked around a bit and things have gone out. So one of the things I want to show you is the axles. So they've got to be nice and free. Now, I'll bring this up to the camera so you can see it hopefully spinning nicely. Now that sort of spins a little bit and stops. Yeah, I don't know how easily you guys can see. Let me just put a bit more light over there. So again, spinning, stops, spinning, stops, spinning, stops. So a lot of people might think, oh, that's pretty good. Personally, not good enough as far as I'm concerned. So let's have a look. The front ones, as I say, I've realigned these in the past. The front one spinning, still spinning, still spinning, still spinning. Okay, starting to slow down, slowing down a little bit, still going, and stopped. So when you look at that, there's a huge difference between that one spinning. As saying that's keeping going, you know, what we're talking 10, 15 seconds. I don't know how I timed it, but that is what you want front and back. So you can see I pulled them apart. I did decide to pull the front apart as well because one of the important things to look at is the chassis. Now, if I touch this chassis, there is no tap points. Everything is nice and flat. When I do this one, you can see this, but it is rocking a bit. Push on that corner. Watch this corner here. That's lifting. So that chassis is not flat. And that's something I want to work on. So I've got to try and twist this now and get this flat. So sometimes you can just move it a little bit with your hands is enough. But what I'll need to do if I have to, I will have to get the pliers and I'll twist this chassis and get it to find out why it's twisted and where it is and fix that. Because it's definitely showing some rocking there. Just check it's not on that front area there, that is below. So I know we're flat there, so, and again, there's a little bit of rocking forward to back there as well. But somehow I've got to get this chassis to sit flat. That took quite a bit to get that straightened out, but then I tap that now, it's pretty flat. There's a tiny little bit there still, little tiny tap I can hear, but the rocking has gone. So that's pretty good. I'm fairly happy with that. And that's so you can see the marks where I've been using the pliers on it. So I basically was just twisting this where I could. Also, what I was doing was holding this up to the light and looking through to see if I can see light under the chassis and to give me an idea where it was out. So getting hit bits and pieces coming off the track, as I say, it's an old car. It's obviously put it out of shape slightly, so you can get replacement parts, both these and this, the two sides, but I'll always try and straighten them out where I can. Okay, so the next thing you do, if I've got a new car, this one's probably already been done, but I rub, this is just sandpaper on a sponge, and I will rub the edges I don't want any sharp edges anywhere on my chassis. So I will give them a good rub all the way around. So I've already done this one before, but we'll do it again just for the purpose of the video. And I will rub any sharp edges off there. These are not actually touching and rubbing anywhere, but still good practice to get rid of everything, sharp edges. So I'll do that on that part, and I will also do it all around this one. Same thing, I'll rub that all the way around. As I say, this has been done in the past, so just giving you an example of what I would do. Probably spend a bit more time on that. Getting that all set through, like that. So them are the kind of things I will do. What I also will do is I will get a file and I will just check there's no burrs inside these holes. So a file very gently, I'm not widening the hole, just making sure there's no burrs inside these holes. To get a small file, this is not a file, but get a small file and just gently just rub it round in there to make sure there's no burrs. Same on these, get a small file, do these as well, and make sure there's no burrs in any of them. So that's what I'm going to do on my cars. I also check inside here with the motor, that is also sanded, so that sits nice. Again, with the small file, just do the holes, make sure again no burrs anywhere. So that's what I'm sort of looking for in my cars. I'm checking all the holes have got no burrs in them. These two are not important unless you go into digital. So that's what I do to my chassis. So they're flat, I've got them nice and flat. I have got them all deburred and no sharp edges anywhere. So then you've got a choice of reassembling the way you want. Other options, as we mentioned before, is these ones from BRM S013. Different letters for different sizes. 0.15. These ones in my hand are 0.25. So these are the ones I'm going to use today. Is a 0.25. Now on these packets you'll see there are two different sizes. These ones will fit your BRMs, but if you want to use it on the Revos, the bottom sections, the smaller ones, are ideal, good fit on the Revo ones. So they are, as you can see, that is one of them. So they go under the axle mounts. What that's going to do is going to lower your car slightly. So your center of gravity of your car is going to come down. So, you know, it's not a drastic change, they're only thin, but put them in, lowers that center of gravity of the car, gives you better handling. Okay, guys, back with you. Sorry, I just heard car pulling up there, so I had to just disappear. What I was just going to say is what we're going to look at next is the axle holders themselves. So I'm going to pop the bearing out of these, so I'm going to just gently push it out. It should come out fairly good. Now, what I also do with these is I check that these have got no burrs in them. Could use a file, but I pretend again just use the sandpaper there, and I'm just rubbing the insides of these to make sure there's no burrs again. Why am I doing that? If you've got a slight little burr, whether it's from the anodizing or whatever it's from, that bearing is not going to sit square. What I also want to do is make sure that they're clean inside there, that there is nothing in there causing them to block. So I'm cleaning, make sure that's all clean inside there. I don't want anything in there touching. So I can feel there's nothing in there. I can't feel any bumps or anything. So that's fairly clean. So I'm going to do that with each one of the axle mounts. Now the bearings themselves, yes, they're good bearings. What I'm going to do, I'm going to wash them. So in here I've got shellite. Shellite is basically lighter fluid. So I'm going to put a little bit of that in there, and I put my bearings in it. So I'm actually going to take the other one out as well. If I can get that out again, just a gentle push. When you're pushing on these, push from the outer race, not the inner race, so you don't damage the bearing. So we'll put that one in there again. So that, again, these have been done in the past, but I'll give them a quick rub again, making sure there are no burrs or anything inside there. And I can actually feel with this if there is anything sticking out. So that's why I'm running right around there. Running that around that edge. If there's a sharp edge or anything there, I will feel it. And that looks pretty good. So I am happy with that. So they're the two axle mounts now done. Bearings are there in shellite. I will actually soak them for around about 20 minutes or so. Also giving them a shake in there. I really want to get some of that old grease out of there because I do believe sometimes the grease can be a little bit too heavy. So I'm going to leave these soaking for a little bit for a while now, and then I'll come back and we'll reassemble the car. I'm back with you. So I just started putting everything back together. So I put the front wheels back on there. They're spinning nicely there now, as you can see again. So put the back axles in. Now put the spacers in here. I don't know whether you can see those. Those little spacers I was talking about are in there now. So I haven't tightened these up fully. So what I want to do before I do is basically some round bar. I'm going to fit that through there. What I want to do is adjust these so that that is nice and smooth in there. If these are twisted, then this is going to be tight inside there. So now with that in there, I slowly just start to nip these up at the back. Okay, doesn't seem happy this, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to pull this back out. Check something else underneath. So I'm going to pull the axle mounts back out. Okay. So I'm going to pull these back out. So I know this is a bit long and boring, and I was trying to keep the video as short as possible, but I want to show you the issues also that we're getting. What I want to do now is just double check something. It's a file, it's quite a smooth file, there's not much on it. And I'm just going to rub, I don't know if you can see, hopefully you can. I'm actually going to rub the bottom of the bearings on there, bearing holders. And I want to make sure I'm holding that nice and flat. And I'm just very gently just rubbing that up and down. I want to make sure there are no burrs on the bottom of these bearing holders, because this can make a difference. Okay, so all I've done is very lightly, and you can actually see when you rub it if there's any high or low spots, so they look pretty good. So they look pretty good. You can see where you take the anodizing off. It's a nice shiny part. If it looks nice and flat, and they do look pretty flat, so I'm happy with them. So I'm actually going to do a slight rub on the chassis as well, just to make sure there's no burrs on them holes. I am concerned with the bearing holders, the shims. They are a bit of a difference, but I'm going to put this back together now and see what we get then. So while I throw this back together, I will stop and then come back to you. Guys, so put this back together, and as you can see now, I've got that nice and smooth in there. So that's what I wanted. So it's coming out. But so yeah, so maybe there's a little bit of a burr or something underneath. Could have been a bit of grit or something, anything. So cleaning that off, putting it back together has fixed that issue. So now we want to reassemble this with the bearings. So there we go. Let's put this back in. So just reassembling. Use the same space as I had last time. So Now what I'm looking at is where the grub screws are on the gear and the wheel, because basically I try and do them 1/3 apart, so that all the weight of that grub screw is not all in one area. So they're in there, push that nice and tight together first, and then just before I nip it up, I'm going to back that wheel off just slightly. I want a tiny bit of play side to side. A lot better than what it was before. Still not as good as the front, definitely better than it was before. Hi guys, one thing I forgot to mention, with the car from new and with especially the Revo Championships coming up, we're getting Handout Motors. Now, I always run a motor in before I put it on for track. I just think it beds them brushes in a little bit better. So this is what I use for doing it. Now, this little device is a motor here that drives a pulley this side. And then I've got another pulley here, which I'm going to fit onto the motor. That then fits into here, like this. I hope you can see that. So now the motor is just fitted into there. Not too tight, just gripping it. It's just a rubber band here between the pulleys. So I've got that hooked up to a power supply. So the motor's not hooked up to a power supply, but this is. So I've got that set on just under 6 volts. So if I switch that on now, that basically, the motor power from here is running and turning the pulley on this motor. So now there's no power to this motor. That is being running under no power. Smoothest way to run in a motor. You're not getting the arcing going across the bushes, so you're less likely to get any pitting on those. So running a motor in like this. So if we're going into the Revo Championships, you get Handout motor, you get Handout tyres. First thing I do with motor, set it up on this device. This is a great device. Local guy makes these for me. If you're interested in one, let me know. I think they're $85 from memory. This is a slightly older version. So his newer version, he's made some improvements, some strengthening around here and that as well. But this is the first thing I do, Handout motor, set your device up, get your motor running in. You can set that aside, 20 minutes, whatever, half an hour, about 6 volts. Just leave that running while you concentrate then on getting your car set up, because you're going to have to put your new tyres on, true your tyres and everything anyway. I just wanted to put that into this video as well, because it's quite an important one for having a car from new. Now, I do that with all my cars, whether it's the Revos or whether it's a different brand, even the Flexi cars, all motors are running like this prior to going into the car and going on the track. So look, at the end of the day, definitely can't be doing any harm. Some people don't believe it does that much, makes that much difference, but it's definitely not going to do any harm. And under no power like this is definitely the way to go. So great little device there. So if you do need one, let me know. Going back to the setup of these cars, so we put this car back together and setting the gears. And with the gears, piece of paper, post-it note, I slide that into the gears, turn that in. That is my mesh point, and I'll tighten it up, and then I will tighten these at this position. As you can see here, I cut a hole in the bottom of the motor. Reason being, I like the motors to breathe. I don't want them getting hot. In my opinion, motors are manufactured with a hole in them for a reason, so they don't get hot and they can breathe. Covering them in paper, plastic, or whatever, just doesn't make sense to me. It seems to be, well, they're gonna get hot again. I like to have the hole at the bottom of mine, so I can actually look inside and check what the brush condition is and that. Other people prefer it on the top. Some people are concerned that dirt gets in if they do it from that side. Yeah, but that's personal choice, whether you do it, whether you don't. This is, as I say, this is just my method. So this car now is all back together. So I'm going to basically read through the tires up. I use the overdrive tire truer for my tires, so I'm going to redo those as well before I put it on the track, and then we'll test it. We'll put new braids in. One thing I'll also do on there that I didn't show you was I like to check that these are nice and flat, the guides. So I have a guide file, and I take the guide and I run the guide in the file, and it flattens these out here, make sure they're nice and flat, and just smooths out any edges again. The main thing is just no sharp edges anywhere on the cars. So this is pretty much getting ready now to go back into back together and get it back on the track and see how we go from there. So I'll turn this off. This was just an example of showing. This motor has already previously been run in, but great little device. All right, well, I'm going to get some new braids in here, connect it back up, true the tires up, and throw it back on the track. Bit of a mixed up video, but I'll try and cut it and see what it looks like, and yeah, hopefully people might get a little bit of benefit out of it. Okay, thanks guys.